What's happening, everybody? Welcome to our downtown studios. Ram, Dean, and Black with you, talking about the TUF 24 finale that went down this past weekend. The co-featured bout, 125 pounds, as the TUF 24 coaches, Joseph Benavidez and the Olympic gold medalist, Henry Cejudo, met. We saw a inadvertent low blow. It felt like it was inadvertent. It wasn't intentional by Henry Cejudo. However, a point was taken by Yves Levine, which I was surprised that he took that point. And then things unfolded the way they unfolded. Joseph Benavidez getting the split decision. I believed with the scores that were right, it was 29-27 for Joseph Benavidez. Do you agree?
I did. Yeah, I had him winning round 2 and 3.
Yep.
Close
Yep.
round 2 and 3, but he won round 2 and 3. So whether that point was taken or not, it would have been 29-28 with the point taken, 29-27. Great fight, really great fight, really interesting fight for me. Henry is one of these guys who came really late to striking. You know, he was a decorated wrestler, and that taking of one skill set and then building you from the ground up from another one, that's a very old way of building a fighter. And you see it a little bit in him. He's kind of plateaued with his striking. Yes, he was aggressive, and aggressive always seems to work with the judges. He was able to, in round 1, really get to Joseph, but he was missing a lot. And it fatigues you to miss a lot. He also has the 5 or 6 things that he likes to do, and he's done those better and better and better, but then that eventually plateaus. It's hard to take you from 0 to hero in striking in your 20s. It's very hard to do, and Dwayne and Joseph Benavidez had that figured out by round 2, in my opinion.
What I loved about Joseph Benavidez is he would interrupt his own combinations, look to throw a right hand or a left hand and then throw a knee, or throw a hook and then throw a high kick. And Henry Cejudo just didn't know what was coming throughout that fight.
The first half of the fight, Joseph fought down to Henry's level, I think. Because you see, one of the issues with a newer striker, and Cejudo still a fantastic striker. Please take this in context of the greatest to very good. But with the newer, they bite down, and you see it coming, and everything uses a lot of power. And Henry does that, and he was doing that early, and it hurt Joe, and it's the right thing. Your fighter has to stay with what he does. But Joseph started doing that. You'll see in the first half of the fight, he's kind of, and that's how Demetrius knocked him out in round 1. So Joseph will look back at this fight and go, I may start a little over-aroused as far as psychologically. And he settled into it as it went on.
So I was going to say, he made those adjustments.
He really did, and Dwayne is a lot of that. And Dwayne's game is ever evolving, and you're going to see, next time we see TJ fight, which is not all that far away, before the end of the year, you'll see some real huge changes in TJ as well.
I think what I liked about Joseph Benavidez is he was constantly sending a message, not afraid of the wrestling of Henry Cejudo, throwing kicks to the body, throwing high kicks, and even when Cejudo managed to grab him or put him down to the ground, he just couldn't control him.
True. And I think there was one maybe early round 3 where Cejudo got him down, and if it was, if Cejudo won round 3, it would be a draw. So I think he got him down, and even then, Joseph's like, I've been wrestling with the best guys in the world. I know you're very, very elite, but I've been wrestling with the best guys, and he did very well with it. I think much like we saw with Elliott, as the fight wore on, he stayed in it psychologically, but he fatigued because of the speed. I think Henry was fatiguing a little bit as well. Really cool fight, though. Really interesting. Benavidez, Dwayne, in his own career, and then now with Dwayne as well, they have figured out he's got a short range, and his distance that he uses is very different. So he's got to play those games, like you mentioned, sell one thing and throw another, fall into certain other things. It's a really neat game that is taking shape in how he strikes.
One of the things Brian Stam was talking about is the fact that the whole Duane Ludwig system is draw you in, and as soon as you overcommit, attack at the very last second. And we saw that throughout this contest.
That is one element for sure. I mean, Duane has a lot.
Yeah, of course.
That's one of the things about it, is that it is very hard to pinpoint what is the key to Dwayne's systems, because he's changing. He's ever evolving. When we were talking, Dwayne, I think he'll be right here in the studio this week doing a breakdown with me, or we'll do something on location with him. But when we were talking to him, he's like, hey man, the iPhone 9 exists. They just don't sell it yet. Dwayne knows where this is going as well, and it's going in huge sort of orders of magnitude of jumps, where everything he's already built will build on a new spider web of things. So there are a lot of principles at play, but when you think you know what Dwayne's doing is when you're in a lot of trouble.
People are going to ask the question for Joseph Benavidez. Does he get another crack at 125 pounds and Demetrius Johnson? Or does he just consider himself, you know what, I'm a prize fighter, I'll fight whoever the UFC puts me up against?
I mean, what are you going to do now? Demetrius Johnson is looking to tie Anderson Silva's record for the most UFC title defenses. He's got to fight somebody. And Joseph Benavidez is the second best 125-pounder in the world. He's mentally strong, has a game of his own that he's developed that's a little different. Dwayne is, you need a coach to be able to coach against Matt Hume on a high level, and Dwayne's that guy. That's the only fight that makes sense for me at 125 pounds.
Demetrius Johnson, clearly, you know, he's a guy that everybody recognizes his talent. You know, I don't know why the casual fans still haven't jumped on board, but this is the way that you use the 125-pound fighters, put them on free television, just get them exposure, and then if the masses, if they decide, you know what, these are our guys, you'll see the numbers increase.
Maybe we'll talk about some of this stuff on 5 rounds later on today, but you know, when you look at if he ties Anderson Silva's record and then breaks it, and then other people aren't interested, that means they aren't as interested in the art of fighting as they are in the art of selling fights. And that reflects on all of us. And that's something that we need to dedicate to and work at, the UFC, those of us who report on the sport, and spend some time concentrating on the elegance and the beauty of the fights themselves, because Demetrius Johnson is the best martial artist we've ever seen on planet Earth, and people need to know that.
And right now, Joseph Benavidez continues to be the #1 contender at 125 pounds. You would imagine we would see them matched up again before, I guess, their career is finished.